Hi everybody, welcome to IELTS Breakthrough YouTube channel. In this video, I want to tell you about 3 common question types that you can expect in part 1 of the speaking test. So, if you want to do well in part 1, start off confidently in the speaking test, then this video is going to be useful for you. Keep watching all the way through to find out what the 3 common question types are and how to deal with them. Hi everybody, my name is David. I am the creator of the IELTS Breakthrough YouTube channel and website. IELTS Breakthrough is for students and professionals who want to get a high score in IELTS so that you can study at an international university and progress in your career. We also have video tutorials for the IELTS life skills for anyone who wants to start a new life in the UK. For this video, I promised 3 common question types for the speaking test at the beginning, that is part 1 of the speaking test. So let's get into it right away now. The first question is the good old "when you were a child." And the question will go like this: when you were a child, did you blah 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 blah? An example would be, when you were a child, did you like ice cream? Here are some tips on how to answer this question. Tip number 1, make sure that you use the past simple. When you were a child, of course, is a point in time that has happened already, so we are using the past tense. Now, you do not need to get too complicated here. The past simple will work just fine. And then tip number 2 is to state the frequency. That is, how many times, how often did you do this? And yes, you can use often, usually, sometimes, never if you like, or you can give a specific number like every day or once a week. And then tip number 3 is, in your answer, give your attitude about the activity. Did you think it was a positive thing to do or a negative thing to do? i.e., did you like it? Did you like doing it when you were a child? Or maybe did you not like doing it when you were a child? And then lastly, tip number 4 is to give reasons. Of course, if you're going to say that you did or did not like doing something, after that you need to give your reasons why or why not. So let's look at the example question that I told you at the beginning here. When you were a child, did you like to eat ice cream? Here is an example answer. Absolutely. I used to eat ice cream about twice a week. As a child, I loved ice cream. My favourite ice cream was a thing called Raspberry Ripple. This flavour was mainly a vanilla ice cream with some frozen raspberry jam going through it in stripes. That's the first common type of question you need to be ready for. Here is the second one, which is quite similar, but here we're actually going into the present and talking about your own situation now. So the question is simply, do you like XXX? And an example might be, do you like to go walking now? Obviously, this kind of question is very straightforward. It's still worth having a strategy so that you answer it fully and in the best way. Tip number 1 is to this time use the present simple. And keep to the present simple. This will avoid any mistakes. Of course, the question has, do you like? Do you like to go walking now? Talks about now at this time. So you need to use the present simple tense. And again, like I said earlier, make sure that you state the frequency of which you do this activity. That's tip number 2. And tip number 3 is also the same. Say how you feel about it. Do you have a positive or a negative attitude about this activity? So this second question can be dealt pretty much in the same way, but using all of these tips means that you give a full detailed answer which is going to help boost your score. Let's just look at the example answer then. So remember, the question is, do you like to go walking now? And here is the example answer. Of course, I go walking 3 times a week without fail. I think that walking is the best exercise that anyone over 40 years old can do. Not only does it keep you fit, but it also helps you to avoid stress. So they are 2 common questions that generally use similar strategies to answer them properly. Let's look at the third type of question. This question is where you are asked to make a comparison between 2 things. So the format of the question goes like this. Is it better to do X than to do Y? And an example question might be, is it better to eat at a restaurant or to cook at home? Let's look at the tips for answering this question. Tip number 1 is to choose your position. You are given X or Y. My suggestion is that if you can, jump for either X or Y. So in our example, you're going to choose that eating at a restaurant is better than cooking at home, or you can choose the other one. Cooking at home is better than eating at a restaurant. Directly tell the examiner what your position is. If you have a nice clear position, it just helps communication. It makes the examiner really understand what you are saying. Once you have given your position, then you can state the size of the difference. Of course, you don't have to 100% agree with X or 100% agree with Y. You can soften it a little bit by telling the examiner how big or how small that difference is to you. You have chosen a side, but the difference between them can vary according to your opinion. Tip number 3 is to tell the examiner why you have that position. So this means giving reasons. Now, if you get stuck and you feel that you cannot give strong reasons, then try and just give some examples. In our question about is it better to eat at a restaurant or cook at home, you might simply give some examples of restaurants that are really good to go to if you choose that. Or you might give some examples of some nice dishes that you can cook at home that everyone enjoys and that are healthy. When you get this kind of question, as I said, it is much better to state a position, and you need to be very careful of giving this 50-50 answer that does not really state a position. So just look at this example. It depends. If people like to go to restaurants, then they can go to restaurants. But if they like to eat at home, then they can cook at home. Now, this is not a very good answer because it doesn't state a position, and the examiner's going to be a little bit frustrated because the question has not been answered. So make sure that you do choose a position. The flexibility is in how big the difference is between those two, and you've got a lot of freedom there. So just be careful with what I call these non-answers. And here is a better example of how to answer this question. I think it is much better to eat at home. This is because we can control the types of ingredients that we use in our food. In my opinion, most restaurants just sell junk food. There we have it then. I hope that you enjoyed this video. We covered 3 important questions that you need to be ready for in speaking part 1. Let me just recap those questions. The first one was, when you were a child, did you blah blah blah? The second question is, do you like XXX? And the third question type was, is it better to do X than to do Y? Please take note of the strategies because it really helps if you answer these in a full and complete way. If you like this video, why not check out some of the other strategy videos I've got to help you improve your speaking score? You might want to move on to looking at how to understand the task card in part 2 as the next one. Thank you very much, and watch out for more free IELTS breakthrough videos that will help you improve your score in IELTS. I'll see you in the next one. Have a fantastic day, morning, afternoon, or evening.